Welcome back to Who Really Assembled the Avengers, where we take a look behind the scenes of your favorite Marvel movies and introduce you to some of the unsung heroes of the MCU, the people who make it all happen.
Sounds exhausting.
You're telling us, bud. As we discussed in our earlier videos on phases 1 and 2, in order to go from script to screen, you need writers, producers, pre-viz artists, storyboarders, set and costume designers, construction people, grips, gaffers, boom ops, camera assistants, PAs, ADs, DPs, and so many others.
Is that everyone? What, you wanted more?
This is who really assembled the Avengers. All right, we rocked out phase 1, pre-production. We crushed phase 2, physical production.
And that is a picture wrap.
But if you think that means the hard work is over, we are just getting started.
You didn't see that coming?
The film's in the can, or the digital is in the hard drive, or whatever.
Can I give you some advice? You gotta get better at this part of the job.
Technology's confusing.
Internet, so helpful.
The movie's been shot, production is wrapped, and sadly, the catering trucks have motored off, taking their delicious build-your-own omelet bars with a dozen different veggies, 4 kinds of cheese, and chunky homemade guac off to their next job.
Oh, it's definitely the end times.
Which means, now we get to lock ourselves in a dark room with a keg of Red Bull and all the stress snacks we can stomach.
I can take it.
No, he can't take it!
She's right, you can't.
Oh, you think you've earned a skinny mark at the after party? Not yet, you haven't. First, we must walk a gauntlet of fire known as post.
The unthinkable will come to fruition as some of the most amazing visual effects we've seen.
Ooh, yeah. Gauntlet might have been the wrong choice of word there.
I want to get a closer look at this.
On average, pre-production on a Marvel movie takes anywhere from 8 to 10 months. Physical production is usually another 6 months, which is twice the length most 100 to 120 page films would be granted. But post, my friends, can take a full year to 18 months. And that doesn't even include the key players embarking on the press tour, which includes premieres, publicity events, TV appearances, and of course, the beloved and time-honored merry-go-round
What are we doing?
known as junkets.
Why ask that question?
Post-production is where superheroes take flight, green screens become outer space, and the director no one talks about, the editor, steps up to the plate.
He hates when directors point at the screen during photo ops.
Yeah, you better mind your P's and Q's, FAVREAU. There's a new sheriff in town, and he's editor Dan Leventhal.
Editing is about re-editing, really. We try things even if we have it right, just to make sure that there wasn't anything left around.
It's been said that there are 3 movies. The one that's written, the one that's shot, and the one that makes its way to theaters.
It varies from moment to moment.
But no film would ever arrive on screen if it weren't for the all-important post-production process.
It's nice to be needed.
Post refers to everything that happens to the raw footage collected during production in order to turn it into a fully realized movie. What begins with editing and assembling footage leads to the addition of sound effects, music, Foley, where people do things like snap heads of celery to make it sound like Black Widow just shattered that dude's kneecaps, dubbing, or ADR, automated dialogue replacement, which adds or adjusts dialogue in a scene, either to fix an audio problem or finagle a rewrite without the cost of a reshoot.
I'm rude.
Though, according to Kevin Feige, reshoots are key to Marvel's success. There's also color correction, which ensures all the footage has the same look and tone, the addition of titles, credits, and graphics, and let us not forget the art that is cutting a trailer that'll bring Hall H to their feet.
Thank you, Hall H. We'll see you next time. Love you. Thank you.
But none of that can happen until the film is edited. First into a rough cut, which can take months to complete. Then a first cut, which is a rough cut the editor, director, and producers all agree on. A fine cut, which focuses on details rather than the overall structure. And the self-explanatory final cut.
Assemble.
Now let's take a trip down memory lane to the editing bay that started it all. Here's a look at Jon Favreau and Dan Leventhal, the editor he's called his consigliere, a man he's collaborated with going all the way back to Dinner for Five, as they work together cutting 2008's Iron Man. If only Favreau knew then what we all know now.
This could be anything from a flop to a moderate single, where you get on base and you just keep plugging along in your career, to something that, where it's beyond what people's expectations are.
But at the time, every decision was make or break. Like this single line of dialogue they agonized over.
The whole thing about him pointing the gun, a line over pointing the gun explains why he's not smoking her, right? That's the whole thing.
That's the idea. Right?
Yeah. So your services are no longer required. I would push over that. I know we had it there once before. I would say I would get what a waste out of there.
Your services are no longer required.
The other thing I think we could put in is a Pepper Potts before your services are no longer required to bridge that cut.
Pepper Potts. Your services are no longer required.
Pepper Potts.
While they're perfecting the cut, other artists are hard at work finalizing the visual effects, which on a Marvel movie is a Herculean task. Let's talk about effects, baby. Let's talk about CNG. We're going to stay in 2008 and visit a land of time between Lou Ferrigno and Mark Ruffalo to introduce you to Amanda DAGUE, a lead animator on 2008's The Incredible Hulk.
I've done Gentle and Soft and Nice, and I just really wanted to, take out some aggression and beat up a monster with another monster and cop cars. I was like, please, if I'm going to be on Hulk, let me smash something.
Get it, sis.
My shots, he grabs each of the gloves, picks them up, pounds them, roars at the screen, and then comes charging in full speed at Abomination, and he just lets him have it. I mean, there's no way that a bomb is going to win this battle with the two gloves on his hands.
Now let's take a look at some of the stages a character like Rocket goes through in order to come to life through visual effects. What begins as previs becomes an animatic that's then turned into a 3D model. Texturing is applied before that model is rigged and animated. Lighting and rendering come next, with no detail left out, down to the placement and movement of his fur and whiskers. Character performances supplied by Sean Gunn, who performs Rocket on set, and Bradley Cooper, who provides Rocket's voice and whose facial expressions are captured on an ADR stage after filming, are then layered in. But the most important part of all has got to be the actual raccoon references. Look at how cute. Oh, that one's got a broom. Oh, who's a good little trash panda? Who's a trash panda? Okay, let's regain some dignity.
You're drunk, all right? No one's laughing at you.
And go to a soundstage where musicians are hard at work creating the film's score. There are a lot of sounds in a movie. Dialogue, effects, Foley, existing music, which would be considered part of the movie's soundtrack. But the score is the film's emotional undercurrent. A score is an invaluable and often overlooked piece of the cinematic puzzle. Now, let's join Michael Giacchino, longtime collaborator of J.J. Abrams, Brad Bird, and Matt Reeves, as he explains his role as composer of Doctor Strange.
My job is to interpret the story and to help you feel what the characters are feeling. So the only way I can write real music is to sort of connect to the movie and to be invested in some way. And I knew I would be on this film just by virtue of my connection to the character from years ago as a kid.
Speaking of connecting to a movie and feeling invested, you know how they say that some movies are critic-proof? That it doesn't matter what anyone says because everyone's still gonna go out and see it? You'd think some movies would be marketing-proof too. Why spend a ton when everyone already knows it's coming out and they can't wait to go to the theater on opening day? But you would be wrong. Avengers Endgame's marketing cost alone was $200 million. That's more than the entire budget of Iron Man. Consider this, $200 million gets you 3.44 Deadpools, 4.44 Blades, 6.06 Punishers, and 2.38 Howard the Ducks, if we adjust for inflation. But what's $200 million when you've spent $4.5 billion to date and raked in 7 times that much? The rule of thumb for marketing any movie is to take the film's budget and cut it in half. That's how much it's going to cost to get people excited to see it. While big-name actors are definitely a draw, they are not always a sure thing. So where does all that money go? Into trailer placement, billboards, web ads, social media marketing, and the biggest expense, television commercials. Take, for example, this Avengers Super Bowl spot from 2012. It cost about $3.5 million per 30 seconds. And this one for Endgame? That one was $5.25 million for 30 seconds. But it's not just big-ticket American sporting events that ring up costs. TV spots run all around the world, except in France, where American movie ads are outlawed. Just commercials for rad live stadium shows.
Marvel Universe Live, le choc des super-héros.
Whether it's well-placed pre-roll, the ads that play before a video online, a Spider-Man balloon in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, or a commercial during Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Marvel understands marketing is about more than brand awareness. It's maintaining a level of excitement and connection with an audience that's loyally showed up for 23 movies and counting. Hope to see you in 2021, Black Widow.
We have unfinished business.
Because once a film is finally completed, there's only one thing left to do. Release it into the world and see if you can find people as excited and passionate as you've been for the last 2 to 3 years while making the thing. Or in the case of Jon Favreau and Robert Downey Jr., the 12 to 14 years, give or take, and the countless steamed chicken breasts. Which brings us to the end of Phase 3.
Part of the journey is the end.
I guess there's only one thing left to say. To the innumerable cast and crew members who make these movies possible, thank you.